All right, Hunter, here we go.
You gotta cut it on.
Oh, thanks, bud. You'd think after all these years of driving a golf cart, I would know what I'm doing.
You know, I had to get a golf cart charger this weekend. So my uncle gave me a golf cart for the lake, but he didn't have the charger. So I had to go like negotiate with the local golf cart place.
Okay.
And, find the 3-prong one for the E-Z-GO golf cart. So it was
How does that negotiation go?
Well, I needed 4 new tires as well. And so I walk in there and the guy offered me a price that was way over what he was paying for it. So he gave me a little bumble price. We talked through it. I could tell the minute he walked in, he was trying to throw it over the top. But what'd you get into this weekend?
Well, hold on. I want to ask a couple of questions.
Okay.
Is negotiating on a golf cart a little bit like showing up at like a car dealership?
A little bit. I mean, I was thinking through this. Like, if you post a price for an even amount of number, it's for negotiation. Like, if he would have said, all right, for all the tires and the charger, it was like $364, I'd be like, okay, all right.
Yes.
But he said like 400 on the dot. And I was like, okay. So
that's a made-up number.
That's a made-up number. Let's talk through this a little bit.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense to me. I've never thought about it. What's up, guys? That makes a lot of sense. So you just recognize round numbers. They're screaming, I'm open for negotiation.
I mean, that's the way I took it. And he
you're
negotiated,
right. You're right.
Got a little bit off, so it was a good day.
And who'd you say this was for? This wasn't for yourself.
No, it was for myself. So we have a golf cart at the lake.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. A lot of hills at the lake, so you got to get one that can maneuver the hills. But you don't want to go gas because you don't want to have to fill it up all the time.
Sure.
So, I don't know, it's first world problems.
How long does an electric cart drive? I've only driven this thing in like 15-minute increments, so I don't know how long I could really go.
It depends on if it's flat. I feel like you could go for a ways.
Okay.
Right? I mean, at the lake it's real hilly, and so you get like 2 or 3 trips to the clubhouse and back.
Okay.
You got to put that thing on the charger.
Sure. And this is family time?
Family time, yeah. So it was
married, 2 kids?
Yeah, so we have 2 daughters,
okay.
A 4.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old.
Fun age.
My wife, we started dating in high school.
Oh.
And stayed together through college, and then got married right after college, went to Oakland, went out to Vegas, and then came home, and during that process had 2 girls, and they have a 3rd girl on the way. So
fantastic.
I'm trying to figure
We're like
out
breaking news here. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so still trying to figure out the girl situation.
Yeah, I have two daughters. They're my middle. I have a 10 and an 8-year-old, Sarah and Emily. And girls are fun.
Yeah.
It's a total as you I guess you don't have anything to compare it to, but as you imagine, the girls, they have you wrapped around my finger, and I've been told that teenage years get a little clunky, and then they come back around.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, for me, I grew up playing sports my whole life. I'm sure you did as well. And like, I have a younger sister and an older sister, but I was around guys my whole life.
Sure.
And like, I have 3 brothers. And I just played sports. My wife was my first girlfriend.
Yep.
And so
same. That's my wife too. Fantastic.
And so I knew nothing about girls.
Yes.
Still really don't. And so I'm still trying to figure it out. But we're taking it a day at a time.
I think there's grown men who are 70, 80 years old, daughters, grandchildren, and they would probably say, I still don't totally get girls.
No, they're awesome, but it's different.
They're just, and I'm sure my wife would say the same thing about me and my boys. Like,
God made us different from
God made us different. So. Your wife's name?
Camilla.
Yeah. So did she go to Clemson also?
She did, yeah. We went to high school in both.
So you didn't do long distance? That's what my wife and I did.
Yeah.
Started dating in high school, but we did long distance. So you guys were to
colleges?
She went to TCU and I was at Notre Dame.
Okay.
So 4 years long distance, airports, drives. It was a challenge. Yeah. You did it a little bit the easier way.
Yeah, I would say so.
Were you guys the same grade in high school?
We were. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we went to middle school together, but like I was busy playing sports and we didn't really talk to each other.
so first girlfriend, marry her, have kids. I mean, you're kind of on the JJ plane.
Yeah.
I think it's a
if
good.
I could play for another 20 years, then I'll be right up your alley.
That's right. Just keep going. You play a slightly more demanding position than me, but I'll tell you what, play as long as you can. Everyone told me that, and here I am at 39 playing with a bunch of kids. I think they're my peers, and they call me Mr. Jansen, so I know there's a little bit of that.
How old are you?
I'm 39 now.
Yeah, so you're 10 years older than me.
See, and I would view you as my peer.
Yeah.
And you're like, God, he's
We're colleagues.
old.
We're colleagues.
We're colleagues. That's right. And a little birdie said that you guys still live 90 minutes away?
Yeah, so we live in Greenville, Spartanburg, South Carolina. And so, just making the drive every day.
So you're driving. What are you doing on the 90-minute car rides into work every day?
I'm making a lot of phone calls, watching a lot of YouTube videos, just trying to learn and grow and, I don't know, just process things.
Are you a podcast guy?
I don't know. I'm a look up on YouTube and kind of listen as I drive.
Listen, I've done the same thing. I've learned that my brain only handles about 2 to 3 minute snippets. And then it's, do I like that? I want to learn more, or am I on to the next thing? Probably.
My problem, that's my problem. It's like I get so off track. Like if I go on a podcast, I'm like an hour committed, or even longer.
Sure.
But on a YouTube video, I can say, all right, tell me about this. Watch it for 3 or 4 minutes. Then my mind jumps to another video, and I'm like, all right, I got to find out more about that subject, and then it just keeps building on itself. So.
I think this is why they call us like the distracted generation. We are definitely
instant gratification.
Instant gratification. Sure. But I find those snippets, whether it's a YouTube short or whatever, like to be able to like taste a new idea or concept and decide, is this something I want to dig deeper on?
Right.
I think super valuable. That maybe like when I was growing up, you had to read like whole books, and you were sort of shunned from reading like the Cliff Notes or something like that. There's a lot of people our age that were like got in trouble for reading Cliff Notes instead of the whole book. But there's an element of, let me see how quickly I can learn this stuff so I can keep progressing.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Grok or ChatGPT, whatever you want to use, I mean AI, it's unbelievable. Whether you use it for business or whether you use it for whatever you want in life. I mean, I had the ulcerative colitis situation, and that's my dietitian. I go in and I ask, all right, what can I eat today around my road where I live, like to go, that will not cause a flare-up or not make me feel bad. And so it's definitely taking jobs, but you just get information so fast and so immediate.
So you're using it even on the road. So you got 90 minutes, and you're saying, hey, if I need to stop and get something to eat, you're going into ChatGPT or whatever.
Say I'm around Greer, South Carolina. What can I eat that I have a practice tomorrow. I need to get some energy, but I don't want to hurt my ulcerative colitis. What can I eat?
Is it ever wrong? Like, have you ever like, oh yeah, that wasn't?
I mean, you have to weed it out sometimes for sure. But it's
you're
pretty
still
spot
using
on. That stuff is unbelievable.
That's really interesting. I never thought about using it in that sense. That's genius.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's just like an older brother. Like it's just like a mentor. You ask a million questions to, and it's not always right, but you know, it scrapes all the data from all the websites. And gives you a good response.
Speaking of Grok, I feel like a lot of people wouldn't mind having Elon Musk as like an older brother. He'd be sort of that'd be an interesting older brother to have.
Yeah, exactly.
So we had the Savannah Bananas here this past week. Did you guys come at all?
We didn't, but when they were in Clemson, we went to Clemson.
Did you go on the field to do anything?
No, I didn't. No.
I think that's been one of the most interesting things coming to the 2 games. Was just how much fan involvement there is.
They do an unbelievable job, and I forget, I think their head guy named Jesse maybe.
Jesse Cole,
Yeah, and he, I mean, what he's built is incredible. And he makes sports fun, right? And he still gets the competitive nature of it.
I was shocked how competitive the games were. I mean, I was thinking Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah, where they always beat the Generals, and exactly.
Came to find out the Bananas have lost 11 of 12. I had no idea. I assumed that they were winning 90% of the games. What would is there any like song or dance or anything that you would include into your own personal football game if we were asked to be more like the Bananas, or anything that even approached that?
No, I don't know if I could gritty like Adam.
That was really good.
Yeah, that was. He's had some practice in Minnesota, but
I was gonna say.
I mean, I'm not much of a dancer. I think, I don't know what Andy did, but Andy was throwing the football.
I asked Andy, they gave him dodgeballs, but a lot of them were like Nerf footballs, so you could spin it a little bit. Like you weren't throwing like those soft dodgeballs.
Yeah, so I would do something more like that.
Did you have any, have you had any like trick plays? Obviously not intentionally like I'm trying to do a trick play, but have you had any like, I can't believe I caught the ball that way, or
in football?
In football, yeah.
I remember my rookie year, we were with Gruden. We were playing in, I was with the Raiders, and we were playing in Denver, and we were like in playoff contention, right? And we had to, I think the Titans had to like win the game, and they had to lose a game. We had to win the game. Anyway, there was like 6 minutes left. We'd scored like nothing but field goals the whole game. We were doing like.
Sounds like a great game, by the way.
It was like 14-6. And so it was late, and I was like, all right. And Tennessee had just won or lost, whatever they needed, and so we were out of the playoffs.
So you knew it didn't really matter the same way it did.
And so I caught like an out route or an out and up or something down the sideline, and I'm running around, I'm about to fall, and I start stumbling, there's no one around me. I just throw it to Marcel Aidman, another receiver. And then he goes, and he could have actually pitched it to somebody else and probably should have. Give him a hard time about that. But I remember coming back, and Gruden just kind of gave me a look. My receiver gave me a look, but they never said anything because it worked out. But
yeah, football, we tend to be in a world where like do exactly as you're told. But
don't get out of the box.
The thing that I was so impressed with in the Bananas games were the quote unquote trick plays. Sometimes they would happen so fast. These guys were so talented that you didn't even realize how impressive what they did.
I know.
And I even thought about like integrating that into like our 12-year-old practices. I coach baseball with Olsen, and you realize the amount of athleticism when you run a trick play. Ball control, hand-eye coordination, and I started to think to myself, man, it'd be sort of fun it'd be sort of fun to just see what kind of athleticism you could create by just having a practice of trick plays.
Yeah, so, for sure. It reminds you of the old, did you watch growing up the slam ball where they're on the trampolines?
Yes.
I mean, it kind of like that. You're just kind of throwing it around. You have a goal, but you're trying to make highlight reel plays.
Yep.
You know?
We got FIFA coming here in a couple of weeks, and they're starting to prepare the stadium, which is pretty cool. You a soccer fan at all?
Somewhat. I mean, I think it's a cool sport, but I'm not super.
Have you been to any games yet?
Yeah, so not to Charlotte.
Not in Charlotte?
No. But we went, when we played in London, we saw Tottenham play a Champions League game. It was pretty cool.
How many games overseas have you played in?
Just one.
That was just the one?
Well, I guess it's not overseas. We played a preseason game in Canada on an 80-yard field because they have the goalposts at the front of the end zones, and whenever we get there, and I think we were playing the Packers, and Aaron Rodgers and them were like, we're not doing this. And we were going to play our starters, they were going to play ours, and so none of us played. And then the people who did play, they brought the field goal post in to where the Canadians, and so they're throwing like check downs at the 10-yard line for touchdown. The guys are still like halfway in the end zone getting tackled.
I vaguely remember this. They played on an 80-yard field.
Yeah, and then so the punter, right? You're punting backed up. Like you can't kick a field goal that's a 60-yarder, but it's 10 yards less of a punt. So it's like a 30-yard punt, and so it was hilarious.
I remember this. I'm sure living it, that would have been
awesome.
So NFL, if you need any advice, maybe 80-yard fields, some trick plays, maybe in the preseason.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun stuff going on in the preseason. Get fans here.
Yeah.
Hunter Renfrow, thank you so much. So glad you're here. I don't know if you've heard this, but we've never drafted a guy from Clemson. I'm sure you've heard that.
I've heard that.
Now we signed you on draft week, so should we get credit for that?
We should get half a point.
Half a point. Yeah. It's been awesome. Thank you so much.
You're the man. Let's go have a good practice.
We got three of these things left, and then we're off to a full break.
Absolutely.
Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Keep pounding.
Yep.